So Doug, a handful of years ago, you and I were having a conversation about your playing days here in Sacramento, and you called it basketball Nirvana.
Yeah.
I wanted to revisit that and ask if that's something that you feel can be re-established here in Sacramento. You talk about the unfinished business. For you, bringing basketball Nirvana back as you experienced it as a player, now as a coach, is that possible?
I don't even think I believe it. I even think that we're probably farther along. Like, our city has blown up. It's expanded in ways like this incredible facility, Golden One Center. Like, it's actually prepped for basketball Nirvana to happen in a way that, like, I experienced it, and I think a lot of people that were around during that time experienced it. It's an incredible thing, but to take it that next final step, it's about the greatest thing that I've ever experienced, and that's the plan.
Something that really stood out to me in the press conference that you just had with Perry is how strong your relationship already seems to have been established. Scott talked so much about the conversations that you guys have had over the last week. You talked about his honesty and straightforwardness, how much that means to you. How, like, forecasting to the future, projecting to the future, how much do you feel you're going to be able to, whether it's after a tough game, in the middle of the season, middle of the off season, just walk into his office, sit down, and have an honest conversation about the state of the organization?
That one is probably, for me, the biggest thing that I've taken away from Scott so far. Is he's been in this business for a long time. There is a genuineness, there is an honesty about him that I need, I think any coach needs, but the ability to lean on him in those moments, I think, is going to be huge for me. And sometimes you don't want to hear certain things, but you need to hear them. And I always know that I'm going to get that from Scott. So that excites me in a way, because I know that I'm going to do everything that I can do. So if you give me that honesty, I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it. And that, I think, for me, for our organization, and for our city is spectacular.
But that's a two-way street, right? You also feel you can go right back and bring your own honesty to him, and
no
that
doubt.
he'll be receptive of.
Yes, because I think that the ability to have similar direction and mindset and all those different things, but you don't always have to agree. And that's a powerful thing. We want the same thing, but we've all seen there's different ways to get there. So his ability to take all of his cumulative knowledge and bring that to me, fresh ideas, all the different things, and you put that together, and then the physical manifestation is what we see on the floor.
I walked away from his first press conference, and what really stood out to me was the identity traits that he listed. It was 7 of them specifically. Don't have to rattle off all 7, but many of them we'd heard almost verbatim out of your mouth over the last 51 games as the interim head coach. So was it music to your ears almost? Does it seem like, I asked him about how seamless the fit was, but when you hear him already echoing the same things in his introductory press conference, it was like, we're ready to hit the ground running?
For me, it was one of the things that stood out when me and Scott first sat down and talked. When I left that meeting, and then when I saw some of the clips from his press conference, I was just like, whoa, okay. It makes it a lot easier when you have a similar mindset about the things that you want. And in my opinion, in our league, that is a winning. All those things that he talked about, those things are, if you do them, the byproduct is usually winning. It was powerful for me. I was, a lot of times you need to be quiet and let people talk. And just sitting down, listening to him, I left there and I said, okay, I can rock with that right there. And super, super excited to work with Scott.
When it comes to actually establishing that identity, though, there's the cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, how how long, what's the sweat equity that goes into building an identity like that? Is that something that you can start to see being established day one of training camp? Like, how quickly do you think the identity of the Sacramento Kings can be that, what Scott laid out?
You know, I think it starts immediately. It starts from the press conference. It starts from the messaging. It starts from the things that you say to the players. It starts from the type of players that you choose to identify as Sacramento Kings. It's people who are, in my opinion, like trying to match our city. There's a symbiotic relationship when I played here that was with the city that I had never experienced anywhere else. And I think it was a lot because, you know, they respect hardworking, they respect loyal, they respect passion. And when you start to put all of those things together, those are the type of players that we want. And when all of that starts to come together, it's a wonderful thing.
For you, when Scott was talking about the process and the conversations that he had over the week and ultimately came to that decision, for you almost personally, what is that validation like? Not necessarily that you know the game of basketball, but that validation of here's someone coming in fresh who is trusting in me to lead this organization, and he values and references the connections that you've already established. You talked about your trial by fire, what you have already gone through.
Yeah.
How much it validates, or does that validate the journey that you've been on to get here?
Extremely big time, man. Like to listen to Scott, know who he is, what he's been through, the years that he's put into this league, and for him to come to that decision for me is like super huge because I think that he respects what I'm willing to do and how far I'm willing to go to see the success of our organization. And obviously to have those games of 51 or whatever it was to demonstrate to him that adversity is going to happen. And in those moments, how do you respond? What do you do? How do you go about it? And then when you hear what the players have said, and it's humbling, man.
There's been a lot of coaches here in the city in between the two of you, but in many ways I still feel that Rick Adelman's shoes need to be filled in a lot of ways. And of course, you very familiar with Rick, Coach Adelman, playing for him.
Yeah.
Are there any lessons that you draw from him, or things that I want to coach the team like Adelman did in this specific area?
You know, there was a calmness in Coach Adelman that I always appreciated, and I'm not always that calm. But I find myself in those moments trying to, from Pat Riley to definitely Coach Adelman, and probably the one that I lean on the most is Coach Pete Carrill. Like his knowledge, his ability to use life lessons in basketball terms and try to get through to the players and get through to me. And when I think about all of those, I tap into all of them. It's not just one, but for sure what Rick did here, what he brought here, his vision, his calm demeanor and approach is something that I will definitely rely on.
Final one, Doug, kind of wrapping up a little off topic. On the day that you're stepping to the podium as the new head coach of the Sacramento Kings, it's the day that Gregg Popovich is stepping down as the head coach in San Antonio. I mean, you battled against him as a player, as a coach. Can you talk a little bit about just his legacy from what you've experienced and being able to say you're a peer of his?
Listen, first and foremost, like what Pop brought to our league is powerful. Like he brought a professionalism and a different style and an approach that was refreshing. To battle against him was an honor, like in the hugest sense of the word. I have the utmost respect for the man. I was able to play against him as a player and coach against him as a coach, and humbling experience both times. Like he's a master at his craft. He will be, I know he'll still be around, but he will be missed on the sidelines and in our league in ways that you can't even understand. Congratulations to Mitch, who is one of my Seattleites, went to O'Day High School. So to him, I say congratulations. But everything that Pop brought from the time that he stepped into that organization to now is first class, and I have the utmost respect for the man.
Well, here's to you having just as much success as he had in San Antonio here in Sacramento,
nice.
Doug.
Appreciate
Thank you so much.
Brother.
Appreciate
Thank
you.